You've probably been hearing a ton about Lovable and Base44. I've been seeing them in ads and headlines. Everyone's talking about what they're able to build with these platforms, but which one's actually better? And could choosing the wrong one be detrimental to the project you're trying to build? So in this video, I want to answer that question. I'm going to compare them head to head, set up some examples, see how they create different things. We'll talk about pricing, and of course, things that maybe used to be true that aren't true anymore when comparing the two of these. Now, there's a lot to talk about in this video, but let's get started with what are Base44 and Lovable. In case maybe you've seen the ads and you don't really know what they are, they're essentially an AI platform that allows you to build web apps just using a little text box. So you can type in like build the snake game or build, a Monday.com comparison, or maybe you want to make a platform that you could sell courses on similar to Teachable. There's a lot of things you could do, and because it's AI based, you don't need to know any coding. You don't have to drag and drop. You just talk in a natural language and say, make me a clone of Monday.com, and it's totally able to do a very functional job of that. Now, I'll show some examples of templates later on in the video, but this is a really big business opportunity that so many people are talking about now because you can find very niche applications that otherwise wouldn't have been lucrative if you had to hire a team of web developers, but now you're able to do that and monetize that. For example, maybe you used to be a roofer, but roofers are not using this software, and you know that they need a tool that can accurately estimate how many materials they need for a given roof. Well, you can now build that tool with a really easy user interface and start monetizing that and making money with a lot of roofers in your area. There's so many different options of how you can set this up and monetize it and basically make your own app using AI. So enough talk about the concept of them. Let's get into some actual examples and just look at the platform side by side. So to get started with either one, I have links in the description down below. You could also type in santrelmedia.com/lovable or santrelmedia.com/base44. And I do recommend trying them both out if you're following along in the video. And you can see for yourself which one's actually able to make a better version of the concept you have in mind. If you don't have a concept, you can just watch this video and follow along with my example. So when you go to both of those sites, you'll see they have a really similar landing page. Base44 on the left here, Lovable on the right. They both just have a text box. You can add, whatever you want there. So travel itinerary app, landing page for a website, whatever it might be. So for an example in this video, I want to start off with kind of like a Calendly clone. Like I'm looking for something that's just like Calendly, but instead of kind of the awkward, like, hey, my time's more important than yours, just find some time on my calendar. I would rather have it like a mutual scheduler where you're able to say like, all right, what times are both free for us? Maybe you're going to suggest multiple times and let them pick one of those multiple times with the option to expand the calendar if they want to use it like that. I don't know if that really makes sense, but I think it's just kind of a cool idea. I think a lot of people don't like the way Calendly is set up, that weird dynamic there. So I'm going to go to ChatGPT and have it make a prompt for me just so I can give it extra context and get a pretty long prompt here. Even though that's completely not necessary, you can just enter your own prompt into Base44 or Lovable, and it does a pretty good job. So I'm just going to paste my prompt into both, hit enter on both of them, and I have to sign up for an account on both of them. No surprise there. I can log in with Google. I'm just going to do that. Now, a little pro tip here, make sure you copy your prompt before you hit enter because Base44 is going to delete it. You're going to have to type it in again. All right, so here we are. Lovable is asking us to add team members. I'm not going to do that, so I'll say finish. And here it has my prompt. Before we hit enter, I'm going to go over to Base44. And like I said, they delete your prompt when you create your account. So again, it was good that hopefully you copied that and you can paste it in again. But Base44 does give us a little advantage here when we're getting started. So if I paste my prompt there, of course, you could just speak to it, which is really nice if you're trying to kind of brainstorm a bunch of ideas, say like, all right, I kind of want it like this, but you don't want to have to type everything out. We also have the ability to upload files, maybe logos, for example, on either one. So a little paperclip on Lovable, a little plus on Base44. It's really cool that Base44 lets you choose which AI model is going to be used to build your app, and you're going to get very different results with these. So you've got Claude 4.5, Gemini 3 Pro, that's a really new one. I'm totally going to choose that. And we've got Claude 4.5 down on the bottom. Base44 used to have something that allowed you to choose the style. I'm going to make it full screen so you can see what I'm talking about here. There used to be something down here that let you choose the style. I don't see that anymore, so maybe they moved it. I honestly never really used it anyway. It was cool that it did exist. And one last thing before I hit enter on this one, if we scroll down, there are a ton of templates. So you could get started using any one of these and just build off of that. Or I really like to just kind of browse through these and brainstorm. And you can see we've got some that are like something for coding. We've got Study Buddy down here. We've got financial education. So that's going to be online courses, presumably. And there's a ton of other templates. Also, the recent apps, once you have your account, will be showing up right here. So let's put that on the one side. Back to Lovable. The only other thing that's mentioned here is that you can choose the theme. So you can search like what your color scheme is really going to be down here. There's a ton of ones to choose from. You can also create your own. That's kind of nice. So maybe for this one, I want it to be like a glacier, kind of bluish colors. And if we click on plus, we can add integrations now if you wanted to, but we can manage all the integrations later on either one of these. So I'm going to hit enter on both of them and see what the timing really looks like on this. Now, first thing you'll notice, by the way, is that they kind of set it up in a slightly different way. So Lovable full screen, you'll see it's going to just kind of tell you a little bit about Lovable. They walk you through some features on the right side, like they've got cloud, they've got the ability to publish, editing, stuff like that. They're showing you how to use it on the right side, while on the left side, it tells you what it's actually doing and how it's building things.
Now, these kind of opportunities are very time sensitive, and if you're not keeping up with AI, you're probably missing out. And if you want to keep up with the latest of AI, the best way to do it for free is to subscribe to our free newsletter, The Neural Frontier. Every week we send out one email on Friday that tells you everything you need to know about AI throughout the week. To sign up, go to the link in the description down below and enter your email.
We'll dig into the interface in a second, but let's go back and see how Base44 is doing. Base44, similar idea. They tell you on the right, like, hey, did you know you can connect to WhatsApp? You can do these different things. They don't show you it, but they're just telling you that. And then on the left side, it tells you what it's working on. So Lovable ran into an error. It's supposed to not really have as many errors anymore with the recent update for Lovable, but you still see every now and then this happens. And so I just had to copy and paste the prompt and just run it again. And it actually gave us a pretty solid output this time. So they both have very different outputs. And this is something that, I mean, it's AI. So if I ran, and I am going to run the same one through both of them again, you're going to see different outputs from both of them. But you can see right here, this one's called Mutual Scheduler. I think that's the name I wanted it to be. And I think it's kind of solid. Like it just tells you like, all right, this is what you're going to send messages like. You can see how it works or start scheduling. So it's kind of more like a home page as you would expect from a software like this. So if I say, see how it works, it shows me what somebody would receive. You can choose that, put their name in and confirm the booking. Or you could say none of those work, view full calendar, and then it turns into like Calendly. So that's actually pretty cool. That's exactly what I was looking for. Let's go up here and go back to the home page. And we can also try start scheduling. So start scheduling is going to have you sign up, which is good. But okay, that's a pretty good output. And then let's check out the Base44 one. You can see this one definitely looks a bit different, just a totally different spin on what I was asking it to do. But you can see this is more of the dashboard style here. So we can see all the different pages. So if you're creating an event, it would look like this. If you are looking at what is already scheduled or maybe your availability, you can choose, what your hours are for where you work. Yeah, this is honestly pretty solid. This is what I want. They both did a really good job here. I can't really complain much, but let's talk about how we can actually edit both of these. So we have several ways to edit this. We could just ask it to change something about it, maybe make it different colors or add something or whatever. We can discuss things. So if you click on certain things, you can talk and it's going to use a third of a credit as it says right there. And it won't actually make the changes. So you can just talk to it in a chat mode on the left side, which is pretty convenient. Or we can do visual edit. Being this is owned by Wix, no surprise, this is a pretty solid option here. So if I want to edit like event types, I can click on it. I can either edit the element like this and just ask some AI, little prompt on that. I could also click on the text and just say, maybe it's going to be like my event types or whatever. You can change the formatting of the text. You can change the background, opacity, margins. Do you want a radius on the corners? Do you want, that's all more advanced stuff. Didn't mean to click on that. But anyway, yeah, that's how you can do the visual editing. And it's not just for text and stuff like that. There's other things that are a little bit more complicated you can edit. But let's say like this button right here, you want to edit that. We can change the color and really kind of get nitty gritty on the style of this. If we wanted to make edits, let's say instead of visual editor, we wanted to, let's say we're going to add a logo. Let's add a logo to this. So I'll say, please change the logo to this. We're going to add a logo here. In the meantime, I'll do the same thing on Lovable. We'll change the logo. And while we're here, I'll talk about the editing options on Lovable as well. So as I mentioned, you could see we're able to ask it, AI style. There's also visual edits and chat once again. So really similar platforms so far on pretty much everything. You've got the option to, just talk to it naturally like that. And if we click on the plus, we can see history. We can go to project settings. We can talk about integrations. I'll do that in a minute. And as I showed you, of course, attaching right there is another big one. But let's see what they both do in terms of adding this as a logo. And then I'll do the visual edits on Lovable here. Looks like it is not an accessible file. So I used just a screenshot of that right there. So apparently we want it to be, so I could either ask it to recreate it or I could re-upload the image as an SVG. And they give me some prompts right there based on what it asked me to do. So yeah, let's say create a logo, matching that, and we'll see what it does. In the meantime, let's check in on Base44. It looks like it did a good job of that. It knew what the file was. It added it right there. The logo looks good. And if you look closely, it looks like it kind of removed the background. Like it looks good. It blends in really well there. Oh yeah, see it cleaned up unused. Yeah, so okay, that is a big win for Base44. Big plus on that side. All right, there we go. It looks like it kind of made it, the colors look a little different here. I don't love the way Lovable, so it's a little bit of a drawback for Lovable there is the management of images. Now let's go to the editing thing. So visual edits, so I could click on this, and once again, we're able to click on anything. We're able to ask Lovable to change it. We could also, actually I do like how this is set up. You could just type directly on here. So you can just add that. And to edit anything individually, you'll see if I click on it, instead of a pop-up here, it's all over on the left side. So you can do everything we saw before, from changing borders to actually adding effects, which is pretty nice on here, and changing like font and things like that. So that is actually pretty nice. I like the way that's set up. And again, we do have chat, as I mentioned before, so you're able to just talk to it over on the left side. It does tell me, however, that we ran out of credits for today, so I could save the changes on this. But even though we ran out of credits, I should be able to still go into the visual editor and edit everything like that. So it's kind of a nice advantage. If you have a cheaper plan, you can use the visual edits on either one of these, and it won't cost you credits. You're not asking the AI to do stuff. You're just moving things around and kind of changing, the font and things like that on your website. So let's move on to the next section of this video, which is going to be integrations. If I click on the plus on Lovable and I click on integrations, I could manage the integrations. And there are a lot with Lovable, being that it has been kind of a darling of the industry. A lot of people have been building things that connect with Lovable. So they connect with Stripe, so you can accept payments. Shopify, of course, if you're trying to build an e-commerce store embedded in here. Supabase, super important one, obviously. And there's a lot of other ones you can see on the left side. You can dig through them, but let's go to Supabase here. And from this, you can connect Supabase. It's pretty easy to do, honestly. All you have to do is authorize Lovable. As long as you already have an org set up with Supabase. If not, it'll walk you through how to do that. It's pretty easy to set that up. But there we go. Now we have Supabase connected to Lovable. So I'll say continue. I can create a new project. It'll bring me over to Supabase and we can set up our project here and we'll create a new project. So I can close out of that. There aren't really a ton of integrations available. You can see we've got Lovable Cloud and Lovable AI. So those are the new Lovable managed ones. Lovable AI is pretty cool. I like that one. We've got the connections. So Stripe for payments, Shopify if you want to embed your store in there or build this into a store, and Supabase for a lot of other stuff. We also have a couple things, 5 down here. As you can see, you can request other ones, but there's not a ton that's really integrated just yet. Kind of a different setup over here in Base44. If I click on the gear icon, I like that I can switch models at any time while working with this. So if you want GPT-5 because you think it's better at something, or Gemini because maybe it's better at generating images, or I don't know, whatever you're trying to do, not really generating images, but anything like that, you're able to change the model, which is pretty convenient. And Lovable, of course, you can see the model over there as well, but I like how easy it is to set that up right here. But let's talk about integrations. So it's not set up in the same way where clicking the plus will do that. I'm not going to click the plus because that just makes you upload files. Instead, I can switch over to dashboard here. So we can go from preview to dashboard. In the dashboard, this is where you can really manage a lot of your app here. And one of them is integrations. Now, unfortunately, the free plan doesn't let us do any integrations. We have to upgrade our plan, but I'll do that for you guys just to see what the options are for these integrations. Unfortunately, you need the builder one, not the starter one, if you want to have integrations in here and connect a domain and stuff like that. So like I said back in pricing, that's definitely a drawback. So let's go back to apps. We're going to mutual scheduler. We can go to dashboard, and from here, let's click on integrations. And you can see we have 6 integrations: Salesforce, Slack, Google Calendar. Notion is common on both of them. Google Drive is nice. We've got HubSpot on there. You'll notice that we don't have Supabase, but you don't really need it with this. Wix does all of that on the back end. So there's a lot of things that you can really do on here that you don't, like, you might think you need an integration for, but a lot of times you actually don't. If we go to my integrations, I didn't set any up yet, so really no surprise there. So as far as integrations go, let's put them side by side. Supabase and Stripe and Shopify, you really don't need them because, again, Base44 is basically Wix, and so you have all of that stuff already set up on here, more or less, so you don't need those integrations. Those features already exist in here without having to connect a third party. That's a positive for Base44. We then have, I guess, 5 down here versus the ones over here. Like I said, Notion is common. N8N, it's nice that we have that over on Lovable. I really love to see that option to set up some automations, maybe on the back end, not so much for the app here, maybe for the app here, but more likely for the back end so you can automate other parts of your business related to this, set up triggers and things like that. So that's a positive there. But HubSpot's a really good CRM if you're trying to really expand this and have, some pretty big things going on here. So as far as integrations go, I think it's kind of a toss-up. I lean a little bit towards Base44 just because a lot of those features are already baked in without needing to have an integration set up for them. And I'm sure by the time you're watching this video, plenty more integrations are going to be added. Let's go back to Base44 and move on to the next category of some of the options you have with this. So domains, super easy to get the domain directly here within Base44. If we go back to Lovable, if we click on domains, you can either add an existing domain or you can upgrade your plan and buy a new domain. Again, that's going to have to be the more expensive plan to do that. So I don't need to get a domain for this example right now, but domains, thumbs up for both of them. Total tie on that one. No real difference there. If we look at the pricing for these, let's start with Base44. I'm just going to go full screen here. So Base44 has a lot of plan options. And the first thing you'll note is that it's set to yearly right now. So if you don't want to pay 1 year at a time, if you're paying monthly, they are going to be, 20% more expensive, as you can see right there. They do both have a free option though. So Base44 and Lovable, which is nice, but it is pretty restrictive. So what you want to look at here is this column or this row in the middle. So we have message credits and integration credits. That's how Base44 does it. Kind of in summary on those, and this is a little bit oversimplifying, but message credits is going to be how you build your app, so what you're actually telling the AI to do, and then integration credits are going to basically be what is running your website. If you have any connections, integrations, APIs, that's going to be your integration credits. That's more or less a summary of it. It's a little bit more complicated, but I think that they're pretty well proportioned for most people, for most apps that you're making. But you can see $16 a month, again, annual plan here. For the starter one, gives you 4 times the message credits, 20 times the integration credits. So you could really use this pretty substantially. And that's kind of the main difference between the free and the starter. If you go up to the builder one or any of the other ones, you're going to get a bunch of other things on the bottom, some other highlights like free domain that comes with it, for example. You can connect to GitHub, you can connect a domain to this. So these other ones, you can't connect your own domain. That's a pretty significant drawback there if you're trying to make something more professional. So really for most businesses, the builder is going to be probably the cheapest one you'd really want to go with. So then switching over to Lovable. Lovable only has 3 plans and then like a custom enterprise one, but you've got the free plan there. You've got, again, this is switched to annual, you'll save money, or in monthly, you can see by default, they're showing you monthly, which is kind of nice, but they don't have the 2 different credit system. They just have regular old credits on this. So you're getting 100 monthly credits, but it's kind of distributed in a weird way. So you get 5 credits daily up to 150 per month. Lovable doesn't have the 2 credit system. You'll see this once we start using the app. They just have 1 kind of credit for making your app, and you get 100 monthly credits with the pro plan, and then you're getting an extra 5 per day, up to 150 per month. So 30 days if you're doing it like that. Whereas the free plan really limits you. You get 5 credits a day, and that's it. Again, the free plan doesn't let you connect your own domain and a bunch of other limitations like that. By the way, if you go to your plans on Lovable and you don't have enough credits, you could upgrade just the credits instead of having to upgrade to a different plan. So you could say maybe you want 200 credits a month, maybe you want 800 credits a month. It'll show you what the price is going to be right there. So that's something that, if you need to change it, is totally available to do. If you go to Base44, they don't give you that same option unless you go over to Elite. You can choose how many credits you're getting there, but otherwise you have to upgrade and they kind of have a different tier system. So the winner of the pricing category is kind of a toss-up. They both have a free option. Lovable is a little bit cheaper to get started if you want to connect a domain, if that's really important to you, or Base44 is a little bit cheaper to get started and really scale it if you're okay with not using your own custom domain. Now, there are some more nuances as you build them, but I want to run that example one more time and see how they actually differ when creating a website. Again, I'm going to use a different model this time on Base44 and see how they look. All right, so this time we're seeing some similar results, although they look quite different aesthetically. But we have on Lovable, again, more of like an end user focused landing page that they developed for us, whereas Base44 is more of a dashboard for the person actually sending out the invitations. It seems to be a little bit more complicated and a little more filled out, I'll say, on Base44 right now, although they both do a really good job here. So to answer the question I had in the beginning of this video, what are the differences between these? And the truth is, I mean, the differences are constantly changing. This is a real arms race where Lovable adds a feature, Base44 adds that same feature. Base44 adds a new feature, Lovable is going to match that one. So there's a lot of really similar features in these, and I'm sure by the time you're watching this video, there are going to be more integrations and more features that are matched on both of them. So at the time of filming this video though, which one do I personally lean towards? Personally, I lean more towards Base44 just because you don't need to go and set up those integrations. Having the backend managed and set up essentially with Wix is a really big convenience. And it's something that I feel very confident in. Wix has been around for a while, and I just feel a little bit better building on Base44. I also like that it's super easy to change your models, and the integrations that are there I find are quite helpful, although Lovable is certainly an excellent competitor. So with that being said, if you're ready to get started, I have links down below to full tutorials on how to do that, as well as links to get started on Base44 or on Lovable. So check those out, and I'll see you over in those videos.